It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey, and other comics from all over. We ended up in Japan because we wanted to see a place where you are welcomed with open arms when you enter, but you have to leave this civil rights hellhole in a tuba case, fleeing guards who have arms. Do they know that the fascists lost the war? The Talk Funny podcast from NagoyaRadio.com and Nagoya Comedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
We're back with Talk Funny. I'm Mark Bailey here with Toufic. This has been a few months back, and my mom was a Sicilian Jew, so we're very good actually at revenge and waiting.
And pasta.
And, well, you know that the saying that revenge is best served cold, which means a normal person will retaliate within that day or that week. Sicilians, maybe a lot like Arabs, Sicilians could wait a couple of years and you never see it coming. And it's the element of surprise.
Da, 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 da.
How's that horse's head? You want some horsey sauce with that head in your bed? You know?
Fermented horse head, actually. If you're going to make it wait.
So I explained this on a previous podcast. Okay, I was at Family Mart. Remember the nightmare show that we had where about 17 Brazilians showed up? They didn't speak English or Japanese, only Portuguese, and we were trying to entertain them because I knew they were going to talk anyway, so I got their money.
It's breathing furniture. Yes.
I got their money, really good at game theory, and I played it ahead, and I realized they were going to talk whether they pay us or not, so this should pay us. And at least we'll find a way to put up with it. And so that was the nightmare show. After that show, I was hungry, but we had to catch our trains. I went to my area, which is Minato Ward, the Goya Port, and there's nothing to eat there except for convenience stores. I went into a Family Mart. I usually get these, it's a vegetable cup, a little vegetable cup, about 130, 150 yen, something like that. When I reached for it, and they're only bound by Scotch tape, and so when I reached for it, another one hit the floor. Everything in that fell on the floor. And so I'm aware that they have cameras in the Family Mart. I picked it up, scooped it up, put it in my basket, and I'm going to tell the clerk when I get there, if you want me to pay for this, I'll pay for this. I didn't really drop it, and you guys actually packed it too tight.
Right.
But if you're really upset, I'll pay for it. It's 150 yen. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, so I get there, and the store owner saw me do this, did not come out to help me. I cleaned it up by myself. You're welcome, Family Mart. I cleaned it up myself. So when I got there, he's just screaming at me at the top of his lungs. What do you think you're doing? No. And I said, Dosuribay, what do you want me to do? He said, I saw you. We have cameras. I'm aware of that. He said, I saw you drop that and pick it up. And I said, yeah, you're welcome. I cleaned it up.
This is like Seinfeld Japan version, right? No
soup for you. And so I said, so if you want me to pay for it, I don't mind. And he said, well, I don't like your tone. He said, what? How dare you offer to pay for them? How dare me? He said, do you want me to call the police?
Like, his tone was better, my goodness.
He was screaming at me the whole time. They say the customer is God. Well, then he's obviously an atheist. He's screaming at me.
Yeah.
And I've known this guy for 30 years. He knows my family.
Oh, wow.
And that's the respect I get from him. So inside, I'm fuming. But outside, my blood pressure medicine keeps me calm. And I'm just thinking, what is this guy's problem? And he said, do you want me to call the police? And I said, why? Because some carrots fell?
Ridiculous.
And so he said, 3 times he said, maybe I should call the police. And I said, well, I've lived here for 30 years. And as someone who owns a house and pays property taxes and funds the police, I think that's a waste of my money.
Yeah. Yes.
So I said, what do you want to do? And he said, well, apologize. And I said, okay, I'll apologize. I'll either apologize or pay. But I'm not going to do both. If I apologize, I don't pay. Jew. He said, I don't want you to pay. It's not about the money. I said, okay, I apologize. And he said, I don't like the way you apologized. You didn't use Keigo. And I said, well, wait a minute. Who's in the service industry?
Exactly.
I'm confused.
Exactly.
Whose store is this? I mean, I thought I'm the customer, right? And so I was fuming.
Now, look, as somebody who is extremely petty, I'm talking extremely petty. As long as I have a pulse in my heart, I will get revenge at someone who has wronged me.
Oh, I'm definitely, yeah.
Forgiveness is my last resort.
If they say forgive and forget?
Ever. Oh, my goodness.
I can't do either. Sorry.
Remember and scheme.
Forgive is not in the Torah, by the way. It's
scheme and avenge yourself.
He brought in the usual trope where he says, this isn't Gaikoku, this isn't another country. I said, you've seen me. You've met my kids. My kids bought Beatles cards here, the little Kabutomushi cards.
Yeah.
My kids bought cards here. My kids. You've seen them.
You know what? He's a sad guy if that just pisses him off.
I know.
It's pathetic.
He's obviously miserable.
Pathetic.
But I said, look, I've been here for 30 years, and I added it up. I added up the money that me, my family, relatives in that area spent. Snacks, bentos. Going to the beach, we buy our bentos, our onigiris there. Rough estimate between $60,000 and $80,000 over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
That's not a lot of money over 30 years, but it's not nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the respect I get from this guy. And so my conclusion is he's always been a racist. He's one of the guys that rides in the black vans. He's always loathed me and my family, and he's just waiting for a chance to get us. And so I'm not saying he's racist, but when I went to the bathroom, he has a plaque in there. It says, "What would Himmler do?" instead of "What would Jesus do?" No, that's a joke. Okay. Christians say, "What would Jesus do?" That's a plaque. What would Jesus do?
Yeah.
And because he's racist, what would Himmler do? And there's no way he knows I'm Jewish. Japanese don't really care about that much. They just don't like any foreigners.
Do you carry a bunch of coins with you at all times for exact change?
No, but I was wearing this, if this helps. This is my
your Jew hat.
My Jewish hat.
Not that hat, the other hat.
Yeah. I left the horns at home. But all right, so my question for you is, of course, as you know, I was fuming, but I'm aware that he also has cameras outside. And he was watching. I really wanted to break that store window. But he's already ready. He's got the police on speed dial. If the cops come, first of all, they're not reasonable here when it involves a foreigner. They think with the store owner, look, I'm a big guy. I'm not threatening.
Let me tell you what I would do, okay? If this happened to me, okay, and my cousin Khalil were not doing anything that weekend, I'd fly him over and have him suicide bomb that house. It's just how we do things. But
I've read about that.
It's famous. But since he can't come right now because he's busy in Syria, real estate, I'd actually hire a hooker to go to that store at some unholy hour of the night.
Okay, we're looking for something a little less criminal. My idea was something passive-aggressive. We've got a contest going, actually, @sportjapan@yahoo.com. It has to be anonymous, first of all, because I gave out part of his phone number on a podcast previously. But I have to wait, first of all, for it to be good revenge. It can't happen on a Friday. This happened on a Friday night. Can't happen on a Friday because that kind of means something. Can't happen soon. It has to be 8, 9 months, maybe even 2 years later. First of all, I'm never going back there, ever. Ever. Because if it rains, he's going to call the police on me. And why patronize this a-hole? I gave him so much money, not another dime. And I told my family, not another dime to that place. The guy...
But see,
miserable.
Will he change if you do that? Ultimately, you have to think about yourself and not about. You have to think about benefiting yourself and not hurting him. Obviously, he's in a very terrible job because he's been there for 30 years. He's still getting the same crappy salary, and things like stuff spilling over pisses him off. What I think you can do, my real assistance revenge advice, is rent a car, take 7 people, have them wear those Viva Vendetta masks, let them go in, throw everything on the floor, pile it up, make it really, really messy, leave, and just get out of there. And leave him to rot in thousands of yen worth of spoiled goods so that he will have a heart attack and, well, I don't want him to die. I'd rather he writhe in pain for a few weeks.
Okay. I've been by there recently. It's near the station. I used to ride past there every day. I don't do that anymore because he has cameras outside. And he'll say, look, he's taunting me. I'm never going there again because if anything bad happens, I don't want to be tied to it at all.
But why don't you talk to a lawyer and see what your rights are in this case?
I've looked up filing a claim to Family Mart, and I am going to do that. I'm going to file a claim to Family Mart and say I'm not going to go to any Family Marts, which is actually I'm going to, but I'm not going to go to any Family Marts until you teach this guy. He must have missed your seminar on how to treat a customer. I offered to pay for something. He offered to call the cops. Would that have happened if I weren't a foreigner? No, it would not have happened.
Yeah.
And you know damn well it would not have happened. And that's my claim. Well, when he said, I'll call the police, I said, I'll call the embassy and I'll call my lawyer. How about that? And he said, well, you can't. Oh, the embassy is not open. I said, the embassy in the U.S.
You mean the Jewish embassy because they get shit done.
I'll call him Assad. I want even more laid back, even more disassociated kind of revenge. Has to be a long time from now. Remember, they have cameras in the parking lot. They see a bunch of people with masks on. They can tell that they're foreigners. Foreigners, any foreigner going in doing anything ties to me. By definition, because this guy's a racist.
Who said they should be foreigners? Make them all Japanese. There's plenty of kids out there who can use some spare change and some mischief. These kids, they want to be mischievous, but it's just there's no outlet for them to do that, so they just game themselves to their bedrooms.
I was thinking locusts, termites, crickets.
Ooh.
Crickets will drive you crazy. I had my roommate, he used to fish, and he had crickets, and 3 of them got loose, and they found their way into my room, and I about lost my mind looking for the crickets, because you're laying down, I guess the cricket's gone. Oh, God. Boop. Jeez. All right, where is he? And then he doesn't make a noise again for another 20 minutes. Boop. Lay back down. That would drive him nuts. Something like that. But remember, they have cameras, so you'd have to have a trail of honey or something first, some kind of food, and then all the termites or whatever they are go to that. Maybe the garbage can. Here's another reason he's angry. I notice Japanese people all the time getting out of their cars, throwing away garbage from their house in his trash can.
Right.
I don't do that, but he's furious about it, right? And so he takes it out on me. That's the whole thing.
Then do it and deserve it.
We're also soliciting ideas, askborjapan@yahoo.com. It has to be very low-key. Nobody could ever prove termites. Then they could never track them back to me if you had termites.
pettypeople.co.jp. We are accepting your nominations.
But I want to caveat that with, there's the store right across from me is a Family Mart, and they're very nice to me near my office. Now, this Family Mart, they have these lotteries where during their anniversary, if you buy a certain amount over 1,000 yen, reach in,
Right.
get some free tea. The one near my house has never done that.
Oh.
The one near here, sometimes when you buy things, you'll get coupons. It'll say free bottle of tea, free giant bottle of water on your coupon. The one near my house doesn't value customers. They've never done that. So actually, within 3 years, this guy's going to go out of business because I've withdrawn all my business from him.
Is being Jewish contagious? Because you've been going there for 30 years.
Yeah. But I've been there for so long, and he shows no appreciation. The whole problem is, if I had walked into it as a stranger for the first time, and that was my first interaction with the clerk, I understand he doesn't like
This
me
would be rude anywhere by anyone.
Yeah.
You know, like you're a frequent customer, you know what I mean? And you
I
offer
could have
to
left
pay.
it. The Japanese
It's
would have just...
150 yen.
A Japanese person, if her kid knocked it over, she would have left it. She just left it there, and then if he pointed it out, she'd apologize. He would not be calling the cops. So I just want your ideas on that idea from someone from the Middle East, and we'll be back with another edition of Talk Funny.